Well, welcome to Staff Chat. In this series, we are interviewing staff members here at Christian Family Chapel to learn a little bit more about them and a little bit about their journey of coming to CFC. Thanks for joining us. We're glad you're here for a chat. Well, welcome to the podcast. We're so glad you're joining us.
Let's just start over just for fun.
One more time.
Yes.
Well, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to
Good.
Staff Chat. Was that okay?
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, and the person who's here is Bill Winton, who's joining us today. He's our middle school pastor and our missions pastor here at Christian Family Chapel. Thanks for coming, Bill.
Yep, I'm glad to come.
So excited to have you. So we're going to rewind a little bit so we can learn a little bit more about Bill when he was a kiddo, and we'll start there.
So is this serious or is this fun or sort of a blend?
It's a blend.
Like, can I say stuff that embarrass my kids?
That's up to you. I give you
From now on, I'd like you to call
rights.
me the Podfather.
The Podfather. All right, well, we're currently interviewing the Podfather. So Podfather, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted, when I got serious about thinking about my career, middle school, started thinking at the end of that, and then high school, definitely I wanted to be a youth pastor or a missionary. Those were the two things. And I went back and forth. I ended up going to Columbia Bible College because I could get trained for both of those at the same place. I love that school. My daughter goes there now. It was my junior year in Bible college where the Lord sort of made it clear, I want you to be a youth pastor, not a missionary. So I sort of changed my classes, but it was like very clear through a guy named Bill Jones. The Lord wanted me to be a specific type of youth pastor, a unique type, one that mobilizes people for missions.
Okay.
That we want the students to grow up and become missionaries or go into ministry, or if they go into the workforce, to see that as their ministry field. And so just want to mobilize students for a life of ministry.
And at the time and even now, is that something different than what you saw then as you were maybe in school or doing internships? That focus
No, nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
All. That's when you're dumping Gatorade on me. When somebody's saying, I want to do ministry, I want to do it. I want to make a difference for the kingdom, you know? So I hope someday they bury me, and in the casket they put a volleyball, and then
and a dodgeball.
Yeah, volleyball, dodgeball, and maybe some people that are doing ministry are actually in attendance and feel a little bad, maybe cry a little, but then get back to ministry.
And dodgeball.
Yes.
Get back to ministry and dodgeball. So you went to CIU.
Yes.
And then went through training there. So what was the journey like to land you here at Christian Family Chapel?
Oh, good question. I became a Bible teacher right out of being at Columbia Bible College, now Columbia International University. Did that for a while, but I still wanted to be a youth pastor, and a church in Waxhaw, North Carolina called me, and I was junior high, senior high pastor for 8 years, and then ended my time there and came to Jacksonville. We now had 2 boys, and we wanted them to meet the grandparents, and so we moved down here, and then after about a year and a half, 2 years, we were attending Christian Family Chapel, and then Doug called me aside one day and said, hey, what do you think about being a middle school pastor? And so, he was working through Matt Russell. It was those 2 guys that had influence. And so I said, yeah, I've done youth ministry before in middle school. So I became the youth pastor for the middle school students.
That's awesome.
Yep.
You said you came back to Jacksonville. You grew up here.
Oh, yeah.
You are local.
Wolfson Wolfpack.
There you go.
Yeah.
You actually have a really interesting family history here and a lot of history. Tell us a little bit about that. I think I grew up here too. So for me, it's really interesting. There's not many of us who grew up here in Mandarin and are here now.
Oh, yeah. The Wintons, we're like the Yellowstone of Mandarin. We came here in the 1880s, and one of our ancestors, my dad's grandfather, moved here from England and ended up doing some citrus farming, some strawberry farming, owned land all up and down Mandarin Road, and had farms on both sides, and would take it up to Calford, to Jacksonville, and that's where they sold the produce. He had a lot of it shipped back to England. And so he used to, he was a very generous man, I heard. And he used to give away land, and he always ended up giving away the land on the riverside of Mandarin Road because it just didn't grow produce as good as on the other side of Mandarin Road. So,
which makes sense, but at the same time, that's the river property.
I'm still a little bitter. He didn't leave me any.
I can imagine, like, all those pieces of land.
Yes. Great house. We used to own some of that property.
That's so interesting.
Now, fun thing is, probably a lot of our listeners, some of them might know what County Dock is. Mm-hmm. And County Dock is on County Dock Road. It's right near the house where I live now. But my dad's grandfather, my great-grandfather, he had all the produce that he had, and he put it on horse and buggy and go up the oyster shell roads, Mandarin Road, all the way up San Jose to Jacksonville, and the fruit would just get bruised on that long journey of bumping and dirt roads. And so he went to the town of Mandarin, and he said, hey, I got an idea. I'll spend some of my money I've been making, and I'll buy a dock, and I'll build a dock. County Dock is what it is now. And then as soon as I finish, I will deed it to the town of Mandarin, and you guys own it. But then 2 stipulations: you need to maintain it forever, and you need to give me permission to go to buy a boat and to come every day with the captain, and he can come to the end of the dock and I can put my fruit on it and take it up to Jacksonville by boat instead of on the Oyster Shell Road. And so they agreed, and so County Dock's still being maintained today because of it. So that's how it was built.
Don't know how many times we've gone to that park for family pictures. So thanks, Winton family.
There you go. Yeah.
A great spot for
Maybe
pictures.
He planted those big oak trees. I don't know.
Maybe
Probably
he
not.
did.
They look older than that.
Wow. That's so fun. That's such a great park and a place. And as I think about that, I'm curious. I'm kind of going backwards here again, but what was little kid Bill Winton like? Like, what were you into? What were your activities as a kid running around Mandarin?
Yeah, I was into trouble.
Ah.
I was always getting in trouble. Not too bad of trouble, but I was the kid. I used to brag to my kids that the choir teacher at church loved me so much that she had me come sit on the piano bench with her.
Oh, yeah.
And then I realized years later, oh, that's because I was the bad kid. That's how she'd get me to behave. I used to laugh at them all. You don't get to sit here. And she was just that good of a teacher. I used to go shoot hoops all the time. We had a basketball hoop on a pine tree
nice.
At our house. And I would go as soon as school was out, forget homework, go shoot baskets. And then Mom would call for supper. I'd come in from supper, we'd eat supper, and then I'd go back out and shoot baskets until it went dark. You'd think I'd be better at basketball than I am, but I'm not good at basketball. But we lived way out in the country, and so we would run around in the woods and make forts and just had a great time, especially when the cousins would come from down South Florida. It would be a great time, great adventure. We were like little hobbits.
Capture the flag?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Gotta love a good game of capture the flag.
Yeah.
So speaking of games, speaking of hobbits,
okay,
I'm going to throw a game in here, kind of in the middle. All right. You ready?
A game.
Okay, we're going to play a game.
Can you win it?
No, it's
Can
not
you
really.
cheat at it?
Well, that's always an option.
Okay, all right.
All right, so if you had to build a cast for Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit with people you knew, friends, family, who would those primary characters be? So who would Sam be? Who would Frodo? Who would Gandalf be? Who would you cast?
Oh, okay, all right, let's see. Maybe we just do church characters.
That's up to you.
All right. Tony would be that elf guy.
The king, what's his name?
Yep. Let's see. I don't want to get in trouble. I got to be careful.
This is recorded.
That's right. We're going to make Tom Wolfe Gandalf. All right.
Okay.
He's very wise. Just what he says is very wise. Doug, man, am I going to get in trouble for saying Doug could be Gimli the dwarf? Because he just knows what he wants and he goes and gets it, and there we go.
It's out there.
That's right. Let's see. Ryan and Jonathan are Merry and Pippin. That's for sure. I'm going to be Bilbo.
You be Bobo?
Yeah, that's who I am.
That's awesome.
All right. Let's see. You can be Samwise.
Aw.
Okay?
Yay.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. So that's our game. How did I do?
Well done.
Yep.
I just love that I have that recorded now.
Tamara could be smog. I didn't say that. Smog's the dragon. That's funny. All right. Sorry, Tamara. We're just teasing.
Game. What a great intermission game.
Yeah, we'll see if that's cut out of the
Why would we cut
recording.
this out?
Maybe the whole thing.
Fantastic.
That's right.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Oh.
So I actually also asked some middle school students what would be a good question to ask Bill on the podcast.
Okay.
And I think one of the questions I thought was interesting that they gave me is, who is your hero and why?
Superman.
Why is he your hero?
Oh, well, he's always does what's right, and he rescues people, and he's got powers I dream of.
Ah, so what powers do you dream of that Superman has?
Flying would be nice, but
awesome.
I don't understand people that have superpowers of flight because I would be freezing cold. I get cold on an airplane.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, the super strength is very nice. I always thought, though, if I had super strength, how often would I really use it?
How often do you need to move a car? Well, maybe if you want a parking space, you move a car.
Yeah.
And you get that parking space.
Yep. But, probably his character is what I like about Superman. There's not a dark side to him, like Batman. He's just always for truth, justice, and the American way.
And would you wear it? Do you want a cape? Is that why you want to be Superman?
Capes.
No capes.
No capes. They get caught. Always in the way.
I love that Incredibles quote.
There you go.
No capes.
No capes.
No capes. Oh, that's so funny. So kind of circling back, I know I've kind of bounced around here, which is super fun. It's kind of like a dodgeball game. In this past year, so you serve currently as middle school pastor and missions pastor. How has the Lord grown you personally in the last year, whether in those roles or just as Bill?
Huh, that's good. I'll tell you a story.
Love it.
It's
please.
Embarrassing a little bit.
Even better.
But the Lord is so good. So good. And our church, I am just overwhelmed at how generous our church is. Generous.
Absolutely.
That as mission pastor, one of my jobs is when the Lord does something, we need to tell the church body about it so we can celebrate and he can get the glory. But there was a day I was overwhelmed in my office praying, and I just saw all this stuff that the Lord has done. And I just, in a reactionary way, just prayed, Lord, would you please quit blessing us? I can't report all this. It's too overwhelming. And then it dawned on me what I just prayed. Lord, please quit blessing me. What a stupid prayer. And so, all right, Lord, never mind. I retract that last prayer. We invite all the blessings you want to give us, and I will find a way to communicate it to the body. But no, please don't stop blessing us. But man, he's done some great things.
Oh, my word, yes.
On through Operation Christmas Child, through Red to Green, through commending missionaries, through support being raised, to the Remember the Poor, and just blew the doors off our goal of 87,500 to help the poor in Burundi with Hope International. And I go on and on. I could go another 5-10 minutes just bullet pointing things that he's done. It's just amazing. So it's an area of growth for me to stop and recognize what the Lord is doing and pause and then I try to give him glory, but then also start thinking of, hey, wouldn't it be cool if the whole church knew all that was going on? They should. They're the ones donating and praying and sending and so supporting. So anyway, that's probably a big thing for me right now.
It's such an encouragement. And so many times, such a great reminder. The Lord's always working.
Yes.
And blessing, and to see those and acknowledge that and to give praise. I mean, he has. He's worked in incredible ways through our body in the past year.
Yep.
It's just absolutely phenomenal. And I love this combination of middle school and missions that you have. It's so unique, but you hit on it in the beginning when we started talking about in middle school mobilizing people for the work of the Lord.
Right.
And so I just think that's a really interesting combination, that's your heart.
Yeah.
And then here you are in both of those roles. So how have you seen the Lord mesh those two?
Well, I was always a little salty that the Lord didn't allow me to go be a missionary. I wanted that. I also wanted to be a youth pastor, so I knew, how do you do both? I guess I could do youth ministry overseas. That'd have been fun. But just to mobilize people, students for missions, been doing it since 1989 now. That's when I graduated from college and started, and there's a lot of students out there. But now as the mission pastor, I get to go on a lot of trips, and I'm going somewhere next Monday. Can't really say on this. Maybe we'll wait till I get back, and then you could, but that's all right. And then I'm going from there to India to meet with our guys in Red to Green, and so I get to do some missions. I went on the family mission trip this year, and so it's just been a real good blend of working together. What's also is, like, I think of Emerson and Shelby. I was on a phone call yesterday with their bosses from their mission agency, and I get to have a different perspective than most mission pastors. Yeah, well, let me tell you what they did when they were in 6th grade. And let me tell you what they did when they were in 8th grade. And I don't have just like 2 years of them. I have many years. I'm like, no, they've got character all the way going back from when they're in elementary or junior high. And this is a long-standing pattern in their life. And so I just have a different perspective. It's really cool.
That is really cool to be able to see that growth in the Lord working in those individuals' lives, and then to see.
And I got to tell them, hey, watch out for your couches, because Emerson's broken since middle school 2 or 3 of my couches. So,
Just fair warning.
Yes, yeah.
You might want to watch out.
Good sides and bad sides.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And I hope Emerson listens to this too.
Oh, we'll make sure he does. We'll make sure he does. Just be careful with your couch. Yep. So before we wrap up, one of my favorite things to ask somebody, we already played games, so I'm just going to toss this one out here.
Okay. Another game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll just call it a question. What's your most embarrassing moment in ministry? And it might be hard for you to pick one. I don't know. So I'm excited.
Well, I was typing Tamara's name on my phone, and it autocorrected to something I probably ought not do.
Next.
Okay.
I need a taboo button.
Yes, you do. Okay. I was on a mission trip in one of the islands one time with a youth group, and we had another youth group there. And each day we switched on who was teaching the Bible, and the other youth group, it was their day to teach, so we just sit in the back, pray, and be very supportive. But all of a sudden, they're going to reenact Jonah and the whale, and they said, Bill, you come up and be Jonah. So I got to role play Jonah. I don't know what I'm doing, but I go up, stand against the wall, and the nice lady that was sort of leading it from the other youth group said, and they threw Jonah over the ship. And then I stood there, and she goes, go down. You're supposed to be sinking. So I knelt down, and I was against the wall. There's an old blackboard there and with the frame, and something felt funny when I went down. So, like, was that my pants? And so I reached back, and I didn't feel a hole in my pants. So I'm like, okay, everything's all right. And by the time they had me stand up, and the lady on the side looks at me and says, did you rip your pants?
Like out loud?
Like she whispers it to me, but it's real clear. And I'm in front, and I said, I don't know. Did I? And I turned and showed her my backside, and she goes, oh, yes, you did. And I'm so embarrassed. And then to top it off, she goes, and you ripped your underwear too. And now I'm thoroughly embarrassed and just horrified that this has happened in front of all these people. And then, of course, I don't like to waste money or anything. It was a new pair of pants that I bought for the trip and a new pair of underwear I bought for the trip. And they're ruined now.
Duct tape them? Did you just have to, scoot off stage?
I just got out of there. So it was kind of embarrassing. Never dreamed that happened.
I wonder if she still tells that story.
I don't know. I don't even remember her name,
story.
So it's good.
That's so funny.
Yep. So that's just one of the stories.
So beware.
That's youth ministry.
That's youth ministry.
Yes.
That's so fun. Well, thank you for all of your years of youth ministry.
Yep. Well, 24 years, 24 and a half years here at CFC now as middle school pastor.
That's so awesome. And in there, you did college ministry for a pocket of time.
Yes, 8 years.
I had the privilege to be in
You
that
were
college
one of my
ministry.
college kids
I
and
was
one of
one of
our
your college
college kid leaders.
And it was so much fun. And now we get to work together.
Do you remember the houseboat trip?
Oh, it was so great.
We rented a 63-foot houseboat, took a bunch of loaded up college students.
And you and I drove it.
We had a captain's cat. We drove the houseboat down the St. John's River for a couple days and had
so
a grill
fun.
on it. That was a great, one of the best college trips we ever did.
That was a lot of fun.
Yep.
A lot of fun. It was fun to share a captain's hat with you.
That's right. I'm glad we didn't sink it.
You and me both. Had either of us ever driven a houseboat?
No.
Nope. But we did it.
That's right.
And everyone made it.
We had that speedboat with us. We brought a speedboat so everybody
That's
could
true.
ski all throughout the day as they went in tube and stuff. That was so fun.
That was fun.
Steaks on the grill.
Good times.
Yeah.
Great trip.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for a great conversation.
Yep.
It was fun adventure. Appreciate it. And
Do I need to do my apology to Tamara now, or is it just do
We'll
it
see.
live? See if she sees it and squawks.
Yeah, maybe leave it for an element of surprise.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us on the podcast today. We're so grateful that you were here for staff chat and to get to know Bill Winton a little better. And we'll hope you'll tune in for future episodes. Thanks for being here.
That's right. SC Staff Chat.